here we have Ethereum, Ethereum versus the dollar, and we are getting a little bit of more of that short-term breakdown that I believe we spoke about on last week's video that we did on it. So we'd have to go to the short-term timeframes right here. We do see a bit of a descending triangle being resolved to the downside. So that will imply technical targets. So let's see where that is essentially pivoted at and see if it lines up with anything else. That'd be down around about 2850 or so, kind of in line with this last base over here. I do think that things could trade a little bit further down towards like a 2800 base or so before the next sort of general higher term time frame bounce. That is not to say that lower term time frames can't bounce in between there. You know, on the hourly right here, you know, you might see a bounce towards 2950 in the interim, but very specifically, as long as this thing is below $3,000, $3,000 is kind of my short-term pivot for playing out a bit of a bear trap in this case. Until then, just like Bitcoin, I do think that risk does remain lower. We do see on the daily right here that daily BBWP is very, very low right here. Now, I wouldn't necessarily be looking for expansion just yet off of it, but probably another couple closures there. And we do see daily RSI's actually making its first foray into the bearish control zone since actually January, where it kind of worked its way out of there, to be fair. Anyways, other than that, I do want to see where momentum is kind of pivoted at to see if there is a more, okay. So 4 hour short-term time frame momentum is pivoted at about $3,000. So I do feel very, very confident with that being a good sort of reversal bear trap confirmation region. I think it's unlikely that you see that you see it back above there, but if you did, then I'd be looking for this move to trade its way back up rather aggressively towards maybe even like 31 to 3200 and just put in a general reversal there. Again, unlikely, but that would be my conditions for that. 6 hour, I imagine, is also freshly turning down. Yes, and remaining within the bearish control zone. 2969 going to be the number to hold. Hourly is probably flippy floppy if I had to guess. And actually, technically still to the downside, but very easy to flip it back up above 2906. So probably short-term bounces in between before continuation. Daily and above are going to be showing downside pressure, again below 3000. 5-day is the really concerning one to me, as this one is very, very similar to Bitcoin in the sense that it's playing out a trendline regression test and so far rejecting and pivoted at 3232. So barring a almost 10% move to the upside, or I guess it would actually be around a 10% move to the upside, very likely going to see higher term time frame momentum turn against this one, and that will imply targets lower over time. Again, I would give it a chance to bounce at like 28-ish, let's say, give or take $50 from that number. I mean, got pretty close right there, but I do think that, yeah, a little bit lower, somewhere around 28 if I had to guess. Long term, just like Bitcoin, if you do break below that region, I would be looking for it to retest around its March lows, its March and February lows, which is in the mid 2000s, about 24 to 2500 or so. In this case, we do see on the 3 week right here, you know, at best it's a range with low side at about 24 and high side at about 35. At worst, it's a rejection with what actually would kind of fit the bill as a bit of a bastardized head and shoulders here. Now, I won't even anticipate the target off that because I actually don't think it's very likely. But you know, the higher timeframes that we go towards, I do think that this one is actually rather likely to trade down into the mid 2000s over the next couple months here. To be quite frank with you, barring again invalidation with short term a daily closure above 3000. Long term, I would call a major macro bear trap here with big targets up towards, you know, probably more like $4,000 and probably even beyond from there, to be fair, with any sort of a daily closure at minimum above about 3400 in this case. Until then, you know, I'm generally looking lower here, to be fair. So hopefully that was helpful, and there you go for Ethereum.